5th Annual Guild of Music Supervisors State of Music in Media Conference.
All right, and this is, by the way, the tables are set up in this manner because this is our licensor team that has to do the approvals and set the fees, and this is our licensee who need to license these mock negotiations. They need the songs for their films and TV shows. Next in line here is Pat Woods, who is an amazing force and leader in the licensing community. Since I started doing this, she's really been one of the top people. Warner Chappell is not a mini major. Warner Chappell is a major. How many copyrights do you have? It's like millions, right? It's millions. Millions and millions.
We can count those.
Yeah, so I would say
a few 100,000 active.
a few 100,000 active. I would say, though, their strength in popular music from every decade is so amazing. I would say 2 or 3 out of every 5 songs that I go to clear has some portion, if not all of the publishing, is Warner Chappell. So actually, we forgot to clap for Carter. Majors. Now we're going to clap for Pat Woods. This side, we've got from CBS Television, we've got Sam Diaz. By the way, as I say all these corporate names, I should note that everything we say is going to be like hypothetical, and it's not Sam per se going through CBS policy or precedents or things like that. We're all just kind of sharing information in a hypothetical manner so we can really speak freely and give you guys as much information about what really goes down behind the scenes of these negotiations.
Yeah, because I'll get in trouble.
Because Sam will get in big time trouble. I think the head of your department is an attorney, right?
Yeah.
Ronnie. So Sam Diaz here, the licensing team. And Sam's partner is going to be Rachel Levy, who is EVP, makes my SVP of Fox Music seem nothing. She's EVP Music over at Universal Pictures, working with Mike Knobloch and some monster movies. I think she's the key behind the Fast and Furious franchise. It's been one of your main staples, right?
Many Fast and Furious movies.
Many. Anyway, Rachel is going to fill out the licensee team, looking to do what she does every day, which is deliver songs at the prices she can afford for her filmmakers. So, Rachel Levy. I think you guys maybe move your microphones a little bit closer, just so we can kind of get in there. I want to do 2 things before we start running through some mock negotiations. One is I want to go, and I'm actually going to get out of the way in a minute once they start negotiating, but I want to go around and talk about our personal philosophies, like our approach, to the job, because everybody, especially when we're committing decades of our life to doing this, you kind of have to have a perspective. It's sort of a set of rules that you kind of learned through your successes and your failures on and how to do it. So I will start first, and I will just say that for me, I think that 99% of license requests should be granted. There are very few situations where they shouldn't be because of either violence or something wrong, or actually zero money and things like that. But I think that a lot of times songs that we request are denied. Pat and I had a kind of a nice one where it was Careless Whisper for the first Deadpool movie was denied. And I just kind of remember I wrote a letter to George Michael, and we just kept coming back, and she's kind of going, go away, it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. But on the other side of my life, I had Ryan Reynolds and the film directors, we need that, we really need that thing. So we just finally won over George Michael and his manager, and Pat was very helpful along the way, even though she was very realistic, this is not going to happen. But thankfully, it did. And I think it was just a lot of miscommunication to overcome. They didn't understand what Deadpool was. It was rated R. There was some pretty violent, crazy stuff around the song. But also, I think that George Michael Camp was worried we were mocking him and mocking the song. And just the way Mike Myers works, who I've done a lot of movies with, Ryan Reynolds is the same, where yes, it's part of a joke, but it's because we love it, we're like celebrating it. We're not really mocking it and straight up dissing it. So the takeaway is that Deadpool loves George Michael, and that's not mocking anything. That's nice for George Michael, I think. So anyway, that worked out. So my theory is really do anything, turn over as many rocks as possible to get the songs my filmmakers need. And sometimes that's not just approval, it means price, because even though you have a $75 million movie, you might only have $15,000 for that one scene, and you just have to get everybody to get their head around it. So I stay the eternal optimist. That's the only thing you can do in our job, and that's kind of my philosophy, the optimist. So Carter, what is your mini-major philosophy?
Well, I've spent much more time in my career on this side of things. I think I have a kind of a unique perspective on it. I did 14 years at Warner Brothers Pictures, 2 years at Lionsgate, trying to clear things and make sure everything happens for the unreasonable demands of filmmakers. So my philosophy is essentially to provide solutions for the people on the other end of the phone or the other end of the email or the other side of the desk, however you want to say it. Because we're all trying to tell stories with music, and we're all lucky enough to be able to be in this world making a living doing stuff that we would obsess about anyway. So my philosophy, if you will, is to provide solutions and make things happen, make deals, not to break. That's it. Sorry, I could ramble a little bit, now you're back.
Is that light out of your eyes now, Pat? If I sit here, it is. All right. So I'll stay here. Okay, thank you, Carter. Pat, what is your philosophy when you put your car in park and come up the elevator to your office for a day of battle against crazy licensees like us?
My philosophy is to try to make things happen, but there are a lot of different factors to balance, to try to keep the studio happy and to continue with our relationships. Relationships are really important to us, but not only relationships with the studio, relationships with our writers and editors. So it's a balance in that, and my philosophy is to try to make everybody happy and to see if we can make it happen. We obviously don't want to lose usages. Sometimes, though, unfortunately, we do have to walk away from something because it's just not right. Because the artist or whatever is freaking out and it's not the right thing or the right money, whatever. But in general, I think we do make most things happen. And that's my philosophy, to try to make everyone happy as best we can, or at least want to do it if they're not happy. So that's what I would say.
I love it. Deal maker, not a deal breaker. Sam, if you put your car in park and go to CBS and think about your life, what is your philosophy for getting the songs for your TV series that you need?
It kind of works a couple of ways. I try to, when I go into work, I try to make sure that the studio is happy with what I do and the way I do it. And also on the other side, it's the productions that I work for. So you're trying to please the studio, trying to please the productions that we're working on. One of my major responsibilities, I feel, is to try to enhance the producers or directors' vision for what they're trying to do. And every day is a new set of challenges, and so I always look forward to the next day of challenges. That's good for us.
Great, and I just expand on that one point you made about the rub between your showrunners and your directors and the studio. Would be an example might be they've got $110,000 worth of songs in an episode and they've only got $60,000 in the budget. So your bosses are telling you, get that AC/DC song out of there, and that's your challenge, right, is to please CBS, but also help the directors get a creative
Yeah, try to find them something better than AC/DC.
All right. Rachel,
I love AC/DC.
you overcome huge obstacles every day to deliver huge songs for your filmmakers, and you have some big budgets and you have some small budgets, so I'd love to know your job philosophy.
I mean, mine's very similar to yours in that, we don't take no very easily, so I think we go above and beyond to, sometimes clearances are super easy and sometimes they're very challenging for a number of reasons, whether it's writers don't like a scene, or there's something negative about an artist in the scene. So our goal is always to try and make everybody happy, filmmakers happy, but also the studio happy. Clearing music is like a big puzzle for me. You have a set amount of money in your music budget, and sometimes it's about kind of shifting things around. So for me, it's like trying to figure out the puzzle, and how do I get one big song, and maybe I can license a slightly less expensive song for another spot, but how do I make people happy creatively, but also balance my budget at the end of the day, and stay on budget, which is, also something that's very important to the studio and to my job.
Yeah, we have extremely similar jobs and backgrounds, and I would say when we get to the true start of the licensing phase with the filmmakers, it's a director's cut or something like that that's come our way, and usually that's nothing but iconic, huge, major label songs. They've got the Beastie Boys, they've got Led Zeppelin, they've got literally sometimes impossible clearances, but also they usually have about $3.5 million of potential licenses when their budget is about $650 or $700,000.
Yeah, it's tough. So sometimes it's about coming up with alternative, like you said, alternative songs that do the same, kind of have the same function. And sometimes it's about going and not fighting, but having a nice discussion with someone like Pat to clear things affordably, and make everybody happy and come up with the song that they want.
Yeah, those relationships are so important. And actually, literally 30 seconds before we started this panel, Pat looked at her email and said to Rachel, "We got it. The publisher said you could do it." And she was like, "Yes." So it's kind of a 24/7.
24/7 job. There's no such thing as weekends or nights or anything like that. We work around the clock. And people think creative and licensing and entertainment is just, fun and games and it's all sexy. It's not. It's really hard work for all of us.
It's great. Well, I see a lot of folks I know out there who I know have some pretty good industry experience, but just to kind of cover some utter basics for anybody who's just here as a young, aspiring music supervisor or artist or publisher, the basics are, there's essentially two halves to a song clearance. There's the publishing side and there's the master side. Now, publishing side could have one writer and therefore one publisher, or it could have 14 writers and 18 publishers if it's Flo Rida going down for real. So you never know what you're going to get until you start doing the research, and then you often need to bang around in the publisher's computers and figure out who's got this missing 0.085%. It gets insane these days, particularly hip-hop, but just across the board. Sometimes publishing issues and splits aren't settled and a song is out there released. So you think it's settled, and they're like, we're not ready to license this to you yet.
Or why does it add up to 102%?
Yeah, and once, I forget what movie, in the late 90s, I got this film studio to say, okay, we'll license 102% of that song, and we'll just pay more. Makes sense, but we got it. And then the master side, there's obviously, if we hear MFN, MFN is most favored nations, and that is where the master owner of the recording is not going to let the publisher get more money than they get for the same use, the same movie, the same scene. So MFN also can happen amongst multiple, it does happen amongst multiple publishers. So you could have 4 out of 5 publishers agree to a $25,000 fee for the publishing, but that 5th one says, nope, this song's worth more than that, $50,000, and they all go up. And then the master might have agreed to 25 already. So we were one party out of 6 away from closing and 50 all in, and now all of a sudden it's gone up to 50 on the publishing side and double that, so it's 100,000. So it's kind of a crazy world. So there's all kinds of stuff like that. And then, I don't know, we'll have a Q&A at the end, so you guys will have a very lengthy Q&A because, like I said, this is an amazing brain trust, and I myself will dig through. So now we're going to do this mock negotiation, which is a little bit like of a silly structure of the way it works. When they call each other, they'll just go, ring, ring, hey Pat, it's Rachel calling, and she'll answer, oh, hey Rachel, and they'll have a negotiation, they will, this Monday at 2 p.m. And the licensor side will deliberate amongst themselves and try to figure out how to counteroffer or what they make of the whole thing. And they will kind of pretend that they don't hear that, but for the benefit of all of us to see what they're thinking. And so the licensee side will just sort of respond based on whatever Pat says back about a higher price or
I just
so.
want to apologize in advance. I'm a music executive and a terrible actor, so I've already tried acting skills. I'm slightly nervous about this.
Today, you're playing an incredibly successful executive vice president at a major motion picture company, not Universal Pictures, but a different major motion picture.
And we're supposed to make the deal happen, not just go, okay, forget it, we're moving.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna-
Yeah, we're gonna make the deal happen, and also, I'm probably gonna move my whole stool over there, and I'm gonna be throwing in scuds and curveballs and grenades to, change, like we always face every day, the goalposts are always moving, so just when you think, you're under control, they'll call you from the set, and you'll get some new information that completely changes the trajectory of the clearance. So I will be disruptive for both sides. Hopefully. Okay, so this first one is a pretend movie called La Fontaine. Sounds very fancy. And the song at play is, hopefully nobody really publishes or anything like that. It's I Fought the Law, and it's going to be the version by The Clash. And the stars of this film are John Hamm and Scarlett Johansson. However, it's an art house division of a major studio, so they don't have that much money, or so at least they claim. The overall budget of the movie is $40 million, and it's a background vocal, and it's just a use in a montage in the body of the film, and it's 3 minutes and 25 seconds long, which is pretty substantial. So I guess Rachel, if you could call Pat Woods and start negotiation, tell her what you might think price-wise, or however you might start.
Ring ring.
Hello,
Hi, Pat. How are you?
I'm good, Rachel, how are you?
I'm good. We need to clear I Fought the Law by The Clash. The movie is called La Fontaine. It stars Scarlett Johansson and John Hamm. It is a lower budget movie, and we have about $15,000 aside. I know that's low, don't panic. Let me know what you can do. I know it's low, but this, it is a lower budget movie. I know it's Scarlett Johansson and John Hamm, but our music budget is a fraction of the film budget. Let me know what you think.
Okay. Well,
By the way, it's almost up to full use. We need to clear it for up to full use.
yeah, I get that.
And it's a montage.
Is Carl gonna weigh in on this too? or-
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys deliver it as if you're.
Okay, Rachel, this might be challenging. It's a rather large song. Can I get a full scene description of exactly what's going on?
Yes,
Which
I'm
we'll
gonna send that over.
And we'll see what we can do, but I can't promise. It will be challenging. It is subject to approval. So let me get all the information together. Are you sure this is the best you can do?
I might be able to get a tiny bit more.
Okay.
But tell me what you can do, and I'll go back and I'll try to work my
Perfect.
magic.
Okay, let us discuss it. We'll discuss it internally and I'll get back to you.
Okay, great, bye.
Okay, well, ring, Rachel, it's Joe from the editing room. I got that scene description for you.
Okay, so I'll send that over to Pat.
Okay, the scene is John Hamm and Scarlett Johansson are riding a bicycle through Paris, and they start getting chased by assassins. And the car crashes over an old lady into a pole, and Scarlett Johansson jumps off the bike, and she's actually a secret agent, and she takes a wire out of her jacket, and she chokes out the assassin and kills him, and the last 35 seconds is the guy gasping for air. It's a rated R movie, but it's gonna be nice. It's 3 minutes and 25 seconds long. So, yeah.
So I've delivered that to Pat.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean, I would probably say to you, the scene is somewhat violent, so I'm not sure that might affect the price or the approval. However, it's not real blood and gore. There's no child being murdered, there's no rape going on. I mean, it's normal. I hate to say this, but it's normal violence. In our day and age, violence is normal. CSI has violence. Everything you look at has violence. So I don't really think the scene will be, in this case, a problem, but it could be.
Ring ring, Pat, it's one of your upstairs bosses calling from a publishing company. My name's Sean Reitman. And I was talking to Carter at the coffee station, and
The coffee station.
he told me, and I've been like on the internet looking at this La Fontaine. I'm a huge Scarlett Johansson fan. And I took two things. I noticed you said it was 40, he said it was 40 million, but it says on the internet it's a $65 million movie. And then he also said it was 3 minutes and 25 seconds, and that struck me as curious because the song itself is only 2 minutes and 44 seconds. So what's going on with that? So you guys, just a heads up, you might want to look into that stuff with Sam or Rachel and get some clarification.
So this is in fact, this is a low, this is a very light fee.
Yes.
I agree with you on that 100%. There are likely to be approval provisions in the agreement with the writer and the heirs because of violence. So we have to at least run it by them. If I don't see how we can accept the 15 though, in good conscience. Maybe there's some other ancillary deal that can be made. Maybe there's a step deal that we can do. Maybe there are other
Step deals.
maybe there are other ways we can make this work, but 15 is not going to fly. That's all.
Ring ring, Carter, this is Johnny Jones from Nashville. I wrote I Fought the Law. I just want to tell you, I haven't seen a license in a little while. We made quite a bit of money in the 90s. And just put my Uncle Ed in a little retirement home, you see, and I really, really need a license. So I'm bargain basement sales, don't you leave anything on the table for me. Give me an update next week. Bye, Carter.
Well, Mr. Jones, I wanted to say that I'm a big fan.
Well, thank you.
Okay, well, look, Johnny. Well, we'll do our best to find things that are worth your time and effort and reflect the legacy that you've created.
Michael, I'm off to church now, so just remember, no gun violence. No gun violence.
No gun
thank
violence.
You. Yes,
Gotcha.
it's a big problem in America. No gun violence.
It's an anarchist big joke, did that?
Choking is fine. That's all. If the check's gonna clear, choking is fine.
Honestly, in a situation like this, I'd probably go back to 20.
Yeah, I would probably do 25 to be.
Yeah.
I would probably do 25, and one key thing that John said is very important. How often has the song been licensed? It might have been a big hit at one time, let's say for the last 10 years, no one's using it. Then you might want to really look at this
That's
usage.
exactly right.
If it's a current hit, you're going to say, that may be tough. Because you also have to think about, I think, your competitors. I mean, you want to, maybe this is just me, but I want to always be fair to everybody. Yes, of course, there's some disparities in fees and usages and all, but Rachel would be really upset if I charged her $100,000 for a song and she found out that I had just given it to Paramount for a similar scene for $10,000. I mean, to me, you really have to look at the whole picture always. Your relationships with various studios, you don't want to ever screw, you don't want to make Rachel look bad. I mean, seriously, and you do have to take that into consideration. Now, in this case, Carter and I are talking, there are no other usages. It's not, nobody's jumping up and down to use this.
Johnny just called to say he
just
really
called.
needs this.
And since no one's shooting and they're just choking, that would be unusual.
I think approval is good.
But I think approval, I feel I would probably go back to Rachel, that's what you think that is right, with 25.
I'd say go back with 25 and we'll use 20 rather as a floor.
Exactly, yeah.
She's got what she's got.
Yeah, and she's got what she's got, but it is a really big scene, it's a violent scene, and it's an integral scene. It's not easy to replace this song in that scene. If it's just source, then everything.
Right, but obviously there's something going on with this, and we could hold them, we could put them over the barrel. They've already made decisions, and there are people who really want this thing, and we can push it. But I think it's fair to go in with the 25. Hopefully they'll take it. We should get something for our writer. This thing hasn't been licensed in quite some time, as the writer says. So I'd rather have something than nothing.
Ring Rachel, this is Tom, the director, calling. How's that clearance going? I got to lock picture tomorrow, so if I don't have that song, I can't lock picture, and editing's going to have to go another week. It's $85,000 a week. So how is that song? And oh, by the way, in the newest version of the cut, have you seen it? No, I didn't send it out yet, but Scarlett Johansson walks away and she just says under her breath, I fought the law and the law won. And we just put that in an ADR. It's beautiful, you know. How are we doing on the price?
Working on it. I'll come back to you very quickly. I'll chase it again right now. Stand by.
All right, 30,000 all in, right? Like we talked about at that breakfast.
Working on it. Get back to you really soon.
All right, lock and picture tomorrow. Let's go.
Is it true the filmmaker extended the song?
The filmmaker extended the song, yes, only by 21 seconds. It's an edit that hardly anybody can hear, but it works to picture. There's a motorcycle crash right at the edit point, and it works.
So I'm going to call Pat again and tell her of this new development that they've added a line of basically the title of the song. So Pat, how are you? Any luck with clearance yet?
Well, okay, yeah, we discussed it internally, and we've also talked to our writer, and obviously, because I trust Rachel, I would say, look, it's not the biggest song in the world. It was big at one time, but obviously we haven't had a lot of help now, so we want to work with you on this. But I think because of the duration of the song, the significance of the scene, we would really be more comfortable with 25 if you could make that happen. You can come back to us if you can't. We really think 25 is the right number for this. And then you can tell
I would say
that it's visual.
thank you for getting back to me. I said I had one more thing to add. I've just been told that they've added the actor is now saying, I fought the law and the law won. Does that change the quote? Or would the quote stand?
Well, now I will have to go back to my writer to see. In this instance, I feel the quote might stand because he seems to be on board with the use, and I don't feel it's that big a change, even though there's one line visual vocal. And luckily, on this song, we're already in touch with the writer. If we had given you a quote for the background, and then you changed it to visual vocal, and I hadn't gone to the writer because it didn't require approval, that could significantly change what's happening. And in this instance, I don't think it will. So let me go back, I'll talk to the writer, and can you think it's, in any way you can make 25?
My question to you is, I'm gonna go back and I will try and see what we can move around. However, would the writers be open to us covering the song and not using the original recording of it, if that has to happen to make that work?
Again, something we'd have to go to the writer for, but in that instance, and most of the time, they would want more from the publisher.
All right, well, maybe we should ask that question simultaneously.
Yes, exactly. And then we would probably make it a harder 25, softer 25. Say, okay, look, if you're going to record, you're getting away with not paying for the master, you're saving money in other areas. I really feel strongly that you need to pay the 25, and I'll run that by our writer. They may want to hear the re-record. In this case, I probably would want to hear the re-record.
Ring, ring. Hey, Carter, it's a songwriter. I forgot my name already, but I'm just checking out.
Johnny, what's happening? Listen to this one, Johnny, because before you go on, I just wanted to let you know we've been working really hard trying to find you a sync, and I think we might have found it.
Hot damn.
Yeah. It's a movie with Scarlett Johansson and
I love her. What is she in?
The movie's called La Fontaine.
Okay, I love her.
But I gotta say, it's like from it's their art house wing. So we're gonna get the most we can for it.
Art's house? Who's Art?
He's the guy who runs the new art.
I just want a license. Yeah, that's your business, whatever it is.
Right. So look, we're gonna go get something for you. But what did you call for?
I just called to see how it's going. I need that, that money by the end of this month would be very helpful.
Right.
You can make that deal. The tractors need oil. Come on.
Thanks for calling, Johnny. We'll talk to you in a minute. Okay, I'll let you know what's going on.
You bet.
So we can get. He'll be okay, no matter what we need to do. But they've made this is definitely about the song at this point. The lyric is spoken. They're using this song for a reason. There's cultural shorthand with the song. It doesn't matter who does the cover. They can save all the money they want. We still need to approve the song. I think we let them know that there is no way this goes below 25.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. And basically, based on our relationship with them, just want to do business with them. They're fair, and they pay us a lot of money on a lot of other films and usages, we do want to work with them, so we will keep it at the 25, even though this usage warrants more like 50.
It does,
Even
but
for a small song like this, because of now the significance of the usage. It's not whether it's visual vocal or not, this scene is really significant. It's tied into the song. It's played off of the song, they're talking, they say a lyric. But that being said, the song needs a usage, the writer's on board, we have a relationship with the studio. I think we make it work for 25, but that's our bottom line.
I think that's correct. We should just tell her straight out, 25, we don't need to go back in at 30 and like make her come back. Let's just tell her 25.
I usually.
Let's just make this straight. Yes, exactly.
Hey, Sam, it's a director call on La Fontaine. Listen, I just saved some money on visual effects, which never happens in real life. But remarkably here at the conference it did happen. You know, what can we do? Just close it. Unlocking picture in 5 minutes. Close that deal. Do we have a deal? What do we got? 50 grand? I could do that. Are we good?
It's looking really good. We're still talking, but everything seems to be going really good for the negotiation.
All right, we're locking picture. We're done. This song's done. All right, people. Thank you.
One thing I did want to add is that Scarlett was speaking the lyric line, not singing it. Sometimes we determine how long that lyric is spoken to determine whether we need to clear that or not.
And to clear it another line.
However, Pat, as you know, I always have tricks up my sleeve when I call you. And if it was me, I would say if it affected the price, to bumped it up to a point that the license was not going to be fitting in my film budget, I would ask the director to cut back Scarlett's line in half and just have her say, "I fought the law" when she walks away. You can't copyright the title, so if the song is stopped playing before she said that, we might have a gray area. I'm wrong. All right, school me.
Let me explain, and this is a fallacy, and people get burned, as Rachel probably knows a lot on this. Titles are not copyrightable unless there's secondary meaning. If the title is tied into the lyric of the song or the use, it is definitely copyrightable. People put titles on films and they clear it because it's tied in. The song is also being used in the film. There's a tie-in, secondary meaning under the copyright law. Titles themselves, if you just said, "I fought the war," and you weren't using the song, there was nothing there. Of course it's not copyright. But as soon as you use that song and start talking about it, and you use the title, it is definitely copyrightable. And any visual spoken, even if it's 2 seconds, has to be cleared and has to be licensed. And believe me, I've cleared 2-second usages.
See, I told you I learned something today.
It's really because people come to say, "Hey, it's under 10 seconds. It's not clearable, right? Because they're not wrong." As soon as you know it's the song, you have to clear it, whether it's visual spoken, visual vocal, background vocal. The copyright law is very tricky.
It's always changing with blurred lines and all this stuff.
Most studios understand that, at least the quoting people do.
Yeah.
Because it is really confusing, and I get that every day of the week. "Oh, we don't have to clear that, right?" Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, I would just, as a general rule of thumb, if it seems like a gray area to you, think about the intent. If the intent is to refer to "I fought the law" and the law won, and the song is playing, you know what's going on here. So just cutting it back to "I fought the law," if you're the music supervisor, just understand that the intent is still to connect the two. So just don't.
Yeah, I have one anecdote from my past where we didn't use this song in the film, so we just had to be mindful not to quote lyrics, and we quoted the title for free. And it was Austin Powers Gold member. It was Casey and the Sunshine Band, "That's the Way I Like It." And Mike Myers, the Gold member character, Mike wanted to say, "That's the way, I like it." And I said, "All right, Mike, I have to clear that because that's the lyrics. You know, if you want to just say, 'That's the way I like it,' Casey and the Sunshine Band," you literally said the band's name in the movie, "that's free." And so we ran a quote, and it was maybe $12,000 for the but Mike had to have the so that spoken word, no melody, lyric reference cost
Yeah, you're correct, because
$12,000.
that tied it into the song as soon as he did that. I mean, if you just say the title, then that's different. You're not using the song, there's no secondary meaning. And so as soon as you put those lyric in, then you have to clear it.
Yeah, it's enlightening. Now I also have to hire a team of lawyers Monday to go back to my old films and clean up.
I think you're okay. I think you're okay, John.
Yeah, and every 2 or 3 years, you'll get a producer who believes that the first 5 notes of every song are free.
That's right.
That's one of the biggest myths.
Exactly.
We also get directors from Denmark who don't have to pay for songs and Danish TV, and they don't understand. So we deal with a lot. You know, there's a lot of confusion on the artist and writer side as far as the way our world works, and there's a lot on the filmmaker side.
Well, in a lot of the foreign territories, it's not that they don't have to pay. Almost all of the foreign territories have blanket licenses, and they do pay. The publishers will enter into agreements with these people, these stations, et cetera, for a certain amount of money, and it gets, the cue sheets come and it gets panned out amongst, but they don't have to get them cleared. But it stays in that territory. They can't do worldwide licenses out of those territories, except for the UK, which is a little different. Their blankets are a little strange. But that's what's going on there. So you're right. They're like, wait, we don't have to clear this, because they don't clear it. It just gets used. And
I had a British director tell me, I bought the CD, I paid $17. I own this to put in my movie scene. I was just like, dude, have a seat. Clear the rest of your schedule for the day. Let's get to business. Okay, so next little scenario we're going to run here is one of Sam's prestige television series, and he needs a publishing clearance on the song "Everybody Wang Chung Tonight." And
Prestige series, right?
but the situation is, I'll actually ring. Sam, it's the second ID from the set here, from the new Jessica Chastain series. Are you there?
Yeah.
I can't hear you. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, we're out in the middle of the desert. Listen, you're shooting a scene, and tomorrow, Jessica Chastain is going to sing. Tomorrow morning, it's up first shot. It's up at like maybe 8 a.m. cameras. And she wants to sing the chorus of Everybody Wang Chung Tonight, but she's going to change the words to say, everybody get drunk tonight. You know, so how much is that going to cost us? You know, call me back as soon as you can.
Okay, will do.
I know you can count on you, Sam.
What day is it?
No, what I'm going to do is, during the course of that conversation, I'm going to say, you're going to shoot this tomorrow morning?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
well, you can go ahead and do that, but I would make sure that you shoot that 2 ways.
Oh, are you talking about coverage, where it's not with the song and the song can still work?
Because it's going to take some time to clear the song. I want to do the lyric change as well. But you're in the desert. We can't bring the production back here and then go back out to the desert once the song is cleared. So why don't you go ahead and shoot it 2 ways, with her singing it, and then have her, I don't know, sing a PD song or something in the second shot, or just take out the song altogether and just have her.
Or just say, let's get drunk.
Well, Sam, you're a very brilliant music executive, maybe too clever for the conference because you just solved the problem and took all the pressure off the scenario. Here. Well, let me see what he wants. What do you want? Listen, there's going to be no alternative. It's this way or fucking nothing. I can barely get Jessica out of her trailer. If I tell her we're doing it without the song, she's not going to come out. So we are shooting the song, and it just got moved up to 90 minutes from now. So get on it and get back to me, buddy. And get a perfect clearance over the phone. Get something.
And what's the question? You're gonna shoot.
Question is, no question. Thank you for clearing it. You'll see it in the dailies in the next couple of days.
As long as you make sure you do a shot without the song.
That's a non-starter. So, let me get the other. Hold on. Sam, this is Jessica Chastain. How dare you get in my creative and tell me I have to do this to you without the song? We are shooting with this song. We are keeping this song. Fix it.
Go ahead and shoot the song.
So real.
Hi, Rachel Jessica Chastain. Remember we met at the Fast and Furious rap party. Remember how at the bar I was singing Everybody Get Drunk Tonight? We were dancing. I thought that would be really great in my new series. I'm having a really difficult time with this guy named Sam Diaz. I heard you're an EVP, which is much bigger than John Houlihan's SVP. So I thought that I would give you a call and see if you could help me because I need to sing Everybody Get Drunk Tonight to Everybody Wang Chung Tonight's melody. I need it.
Well, that's a fabulous idea. I love it. It's hilarious. I might say I'll try, but the reality is, I said I would probably tell her that, there's 4 writers on the song, and it's Saturday afternoon, and the publisher's closed, And we'll do everything we can to try, but you really should, just like smart Sam Diaz said, to cover it a number of different ways. I mean, I would reiterate that, or tell them, no, don't do it. You cannot do it. It may not clear. There's too many scenarios that could happen that would, it just, you can shoot it, but you might not be able to include it in your movie if it doesn't clear. There's really no other thing to say.
Because if it doesn't clear, it'll just end up on the cutting room floor.
You could call Wang Chung yourself if you want.
Oh, you can give me their numbers, I'll call them.
Absolutely, give them a call.
I see the two are deceased now,
Yeah.
unfortunately. You give me a statement, so.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I
that's
did have a very funny thing where a director wanted to do something with the Lion, it was like a Lion King song. And he was like, oh, I know the head of Disney. I'm like, okay, call the head of Disney. And he called back like 5 minutes later. He's like, okay, no, we can't use it. There's a reality to it, and sometimes you have to manage them and tell them no.
Yeah, and Carter and Pat, how often do you get those last minute things? We are print mastering our mix today. We are shooting the scene this afternoon. Like, how often do you get the Hail Mary calls?
It doesn't seem to happen too terribly much.
I know, she's looking at me, because we do try. We do try. And there are last minute fire drills where absolutely, if somebody calls on a Friday afternoon, we'll try. We have to be very
I
honest.
will say I mean, it doesn't happen that much because most music supervisors, that's part of your job, is to anticipate this sort of thing. And poor John, you'll notice that these guys had an answer right away, don't do this. Waving off, So it doesn't happen, in my experience, that terribly much. But we have had experiences where, literally, we started running this program yesterday. We gotta clear this right away. What are you gonna do, And this is another situation where relationships come into play, because you've really got these people over the barrel. If you really want to use people, we'll enjoy your show, but then you gotta work with them again tomorrow. So.
Yeah, they understand. I know you guys understand the pressure that we're under, and everybody wants to deliver on both sides.
Yeah.
I think that that's true. I don't think I would ever feel like I have them over the barrel, because really, I'm sort of sympathetic and say, oh my God. We get these calls, I get them on the weekends, probably because our catalog's rather large. It happens more with TV people than it does with studio people. They seem to have a little more time, but we have frantic calls from them too. And we'll be honest and say, I don't know, I know the writers, I know my writers, and I'll say, look, this writer, it'll be impossible to get them cleared by this. Or if it's someone I know, I say, maybe I can get them over the weekend, maybe I can get them tonight, let me try, let me see what I can do to get it cleared. Or I might say, I'll take the risk if I really know the writer and prove it. But it happens in TV. I've had people come to me where like, this has changed, and our showrunner or our star is insistent he has to sing this song, and it's a song like For What It's Worth, which is a song that's almost impossible to clear, and it's Saturday afternoon, and they need it. And I'm like, really? Don't think that's gonna happen. We have to have it, I can't tell him no. Okay, let me see what I can do. Interestingly enough, it cleared on the weekend for some godforsaken reason. And the next week they decided not to use it. They should be pulling all the favors, and I'm like, really, don't ever come to me again. One of the things on the weekend, please. But yeah, it does happen. It happens a lot. It's not their fault. It's that something's fallen out, or they thought they had something in there, and it didn't clear, or it cleared for an astronomical amount of money at the last minute, and they have to replace it. And they're looking to replace it with a different song. So it does happen.
Yeah, that happens a lot in sitcoms, actually, because the scripts change every day. And they'll even be revising dialogue up to 20 minutes before the shoot. And we'll get that call, we're shooting tonight, that one of the actors wants to sing this song. Can we do that? And we tell them, sure, but get some coverage as well. So in case the song doesn't clear, we don't have to deal with it.
Yeah, I'm sure your mindset is be careful not to cash in your favors and your chips with Pat and torture her all weekend, chasing the difficult writers, and if you know that your writer's room is flaky, and by Tuesday, they've changed the scene again.
Right, exactly. It could easily just go away
Yeah, it does.
as soon as it can.
We kind of understand that. I mean, I didn't, on the For What It's Worth thing, I didn't understand it. That was really pissed off, because that spelling was impossible to clear, and it was calling in a favor. But generally speaking, they're not calling in a favor, they're just really stuck. And it's something that we do, I always try to get it cleared. But I'm honest, because it's not, doesn't do the studio a favor if you're not. If you have a writer that you know is really difficult or is probably not going to clear, I always let them know. I said, look, I'm going to try to do this, but please get a backup. Have a backup. Let me give you a heads up. This is really, there's a good chance this isn't going to clear. I'll do my best, but please understand, because if you just blow smoke up their ass and say, oh yeah, this is going to be great, and then you come to say, sorry, couldn't help you. It's like,
Sometimes the songwriters and the artists get really excited for it, and then you have to call them back and go, they're not doing it.
that happens a lot. That's unfortunate, because that happens more with smaller writers. When I say smaller, I don't like to use that word, I don't know what the right writer is, but a newer writer,
Emerging writers.
Emerging, that's good, thank you. Emerging writers, where they really, really want the usage, and they're so excited, and then they move away from it. That's when it's heartbreaking, because then you have to tell them, because when am I going to get paid?
It's heartbreaking for us, too.
Especially if it's a pilot. They'll say, when am I going to get paid? And I'm like, I don't know if you're ever going to get paid. It's like there's a crapshoot here, but yeah, it's hard, because you do feel for them. If it's for the Led Zeppelin, it's not going to matter. They pay to play anyway, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, it's hard to tell them. Sometimes when it's an emerging writer or something, they're very excited about the use, and then they tell them they've moved in a different direction. Not for anything that we did. I mean, we made a deal and they're happy with the deal, but they want the director likes a different song. There's nothing we can do about that.
Yeah, nothing's in until it's in. Until you buy a ticket at ArcLight and you walk in and you see it in the movie, then you know it's probably.
No, you have situations, like I have a situation now with, and I won't mention who it is, but I have a major artist with a trailer, a big trailer that they approved, and they're happy with it, but I don't know if the trailer is definitely happening. Now someone's trying to clear it for infill and saying, hey, but it's gonna be in the trailer. And the artist isn't necessarily approving the infill yet, because, and I'm saying the trailer's not guaranteed yet. They have not pulled the trigger yet. They love the song and all, but it's not. And they have supervisors say, yeah, it's gonna happen. It's definitely gonna be in the trailer. Please approve the film. And I'm saying, no. Until they tell you and request a license, I'm not telling you not to approve. You should approve the film too, but I can't guarantee you that it's gonna be in the trailer until the studio says, this trailer is done, we want it, it's finished, and we're requesting the license, because at the very last minute, it can change, and they decide they like another song better, or something else happened.
Test
So until
focus
it's
group
done-
likes another version of the trailer.
Yeah,
whatever
exactly.
that is.
Until it's done, it's not done. Until they say, okay, here's your license request, it's now confirmed, it's in. I mean, it happens, not that often, but it does happen, where they all along, they say, it's gonna happen, and all of a sudden, right?
Sure.
Someone says, no, it's not gonna happen. So there's a lot that goes into these things, and people get very excited.
Yeah, when it comes to an artist, for like a TV drama, we wait till the notes from the music editor come from the mix stage, the final day of the mix stage, to see what the music use chart is, and then we can let the artist or the licensor know that the song's in.
Yeah, and that's great, and that's how it happens. But we get lots of like emerging artists, a lot of artists or foreign territories following up. Hey, is the song in? Was it used? Is it in? Is it in? We don't know yet until we get the final, as you say, edited version.
There's a lot of passion on all sides. I want to go to Q&A. We're going to get a little sign here. We have 15 minutes left. So I think we have a microphone that can roam the crowd. And you just pass that, I guess, around. Just nobody steal the microphone or we'll get charged for it.
Everyone, my name is Ian Vargas. Thank you for the panel. I have a quick question about, you mentioned in the first scenario, possibly introducing a step deal. Would that be in conjunction with the original 15 that they asked for, or would you broach it with step deal and ask for the 25 or 20? And I realize that may have to do with the pressure you get from the songwriter. So if you didn't have the pressure from the songwriter, would you go for that 25 and the step deal?
Well, just quickly, you'll notice that Rachel was like, no step deals. And when I was at Warner Brothers, I wasn't doing any step deals either. When no major label, no major film company is going to do a step deal. It's like, it's either happening or it's not happening. Well, as a rule, everything is always fungible. The general rule for a step deal is that you're taking a lower fee. Maybe it's not, you want to be made whole plus is what the general rule is. So In this particular scenario, had it been a step deal, had you worked for some other company that does step deals, it would have been, this is the money we have your, what was it, 10, 15. I can't believe you came to me with this.
The class would never clear for 15 or 20.
Right, no, this would be a perfect opportunity to enjoy MFN. You know, it would be the 15 that she had, but the song is worth 50. So you're gonna have to get me 15, and then at this threshold, another 15, and at this threshold, another 15, until I get to 60.
So let's say that indie film, you do that step deal, and they mix it in their movie, and they pay the 15 up front, but it goes to Netflix. Like, how does step deals, are they based on box office? Are they based, how is streaming only? You know, how do you calculate revenue on a movie these days? Isn't it really complex?
Yes, but I'm presuming that there is a theatrical release for, I mean, La Fontaine, that's gotta go.
It's opening in 2 in New York, 2 in LA, and we're gonna take it from there.
You have to earn a certain amount of money, but you know, if we know that it's just going to be streaming only, that's a different license. So it makes a step deal very difficult.
Well, let's say it was a very big indie movie, like I did the movie Looper, and it was truly an independent movie, and it was $24 million budget. So where would you expect step deal bumps to kick in? Because a $24 million movie would have to make $48 million to break even, not even including marketing. So on a movie like Looper, that's indie, would you wait until 70 million box office to get a bump?
No. I mean, for me personally, I was always a little bit irked on the film side when some people say, well, what's the budget of the film? It doesn't matter what the budget of the film is. The budget of the music is this. This is what we got. They're spending the rest on John Hamm. But that sort of travels to the box office thresholds. I don't care what your film costs and what you need to make to get even. I know that the threshold, it's going to hit 5 million. That's my first threshold. It's going to hit 10 million. I'm sure that'll be my second. I'm not concerned with, we can't concern ourselves with the profitability of the film. We have to protect our writer.
Yeah, but I think everybody tries to avoid step deals these days. But, and we have another question. Oh, he's already up.
Sorry, the PA is blocking us. I was surprised that on the first scenario, Pat didn't ask the question from Rachel whether or not there will be a soundtrack release. Would that change the dynamic of the deal in any shape or form? Being a 40, let's just say the budget did matter.
Yeah, so is soundtrack inclusion a factor
No,
in
not
a film
really.
quote?
Not really, years ago it was more of a factor, it's not now. Soundtracks, usually there aren't a lot of films that do soundtracks, and the ones that do, there are only a handful that are really successful.
Well, now that everything is streaming, I mean, the song is out, so it would matter if it's an original song or something new. That would make a difference.
Right,
If we're clearing an original song or a writer's portion of an original song, but something like an existing track, I don't know that it would matter.
Yeah, we don't do that. I did want to make one other comment though on the step deals. You know, because of the question on Netflix, etc. The other type of step deal that is done is it can be done on a percentage of gross revenue, and it can also, the step deals we often do is there's a fee, an additional fee when it's released on SVOD, and another for when it's released for TV. We go in categories rather than those box office because of the fact that now things are released on Netflix. But usually the best thing is to stay away from step deals. They're kind of a nightmare, but sometimes you have to do them, but it's rare that we don't get paid on them that often. I think the one that we did get paid on it. So what was it?
I don't know, we don't actually work together.
God, if you're sitting next to Carter tomorrow morning at work, you're in trouble. One more thing about soundtracks. Soundtracks, there was a heyday of soundtracks that's unfortunately long gone. I mean, there was a period
I think they're still around.
Yeah, they are still around
A
sometimes.
little Fast and Furious, have you heard of these soundtracks?
With original songs like The Greatest Showman and stuff like that, sure. But for compilation soundtracks, we started enthusiastically putting them together. Mostly we want to impress the director and the producer, and I want to put a collector vinyl in their hand of their movie or whatever. But nobody is making a dime on that. It's largely kind of like a promotional thing or whatever. And it's very sad. The economics, when the brick and mortar, you know, when
Or if it has a hardcore fan base, like with Star Trek Discovery, we released a 2-album vinyl soundtrack for the first season.
yeah, and vinyl's doing really well, probably sold 6,000 and 10,000, but that is not going to help a licensor give you a break on a film license.
But John, sorry to interrupt, I don't necessarily agree with that. Milan Records just became part of Sony Music. So there's clearly an indication that major studios obviously do care about soundtrack music. I'm not saying the physical CD, right, but Milan Records, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with, they just joined Sony, they became part of Sony Music. And that's a very large
to me, not to be pessimistic, but part of the Guild of Music Supervisors thing is that we're going to hear to talk turkey, but there's a lot of institutional fraud of accounting in the record business. I'm not a news flash giving you new news to anyone out there. So Milan stands in a position to make some money off it, but when I say where no one's making money, it's a major film studio, it's a film director who has 2 points on the album.
And it might be great for the Milan is going to do everything it can to make their margin work. But think about this: we're publishers, right? Our mechanical royalties on a soundtrack aren't that great, okay? And we're not worried about that. That's not what we're not in the record business as film and TV publishers. We're in the sync business. So that's what we're going to concentrate on. It might go back a little bit to the idea of profile. If you do this, if you're in a Fast and Furious movie, yeah, that's a pretty big deal. And if nobody's ever heard of you, then you'll pretty much take what you need to take to get into that movie. However, if you're, I don't know, take your pick. If you're Beyonce and Fast and Furious approaches you, they'll take what you give them. You know, it's like the idea of a profile of a soundtrack possibility that's not gonna move me.
For an existing song.
But God bless Milan, everybody for staying with it. I'm actually always disappointed in the soundtrack fans that are across the world who don't buy more and support more to keep it alive. But I think, you know, the business is changing every 3.5 years. It's almost a new landscape of the way people get paid and all that stuff. So I'm hoping that 5 to 7 years from now, the soundtrack model has kind of righted course, and we all can make money. And a music supervisor who busts their butt putting together a complicated soundtrack album, that's a whole other set of clearances. It's a whole other set of negotiations. It's like a lot of work. All the liner notes.
Who else is on the soundtrack, John?
Yeah, exactly. But you know, there's a fairly high-profile movie I worked on called Ford vs. Ferrari that's coming out in the fall. We're doing a soundtrack, but it's a straight compilation. Everything on that record, except for a few score cues, has been out there before. Nina Simone, I Put a Spell on You. I don't think that's going to move the needle for the publishers. You know, getting a 1/1000th of a penny for every 100,000 streams on Spotify or whatever it is. So it's not a game changer. It's just a negotiation. But it's worth fighting for. I'm with you.
Good morning. Thank you, panel. I have a question on pricing. You mentioned earlier in the presentation about providing a fair return for depending on the usage and a raft of other factors. Is there really two parts to this. Is there a database available that you would refer to when you're looking to see if it's an indie film, this is what we might approach it on, and or if it's a new piece of music you've commissioned, what kind of a pricing model do you use for that?
I mean, I actually put a lot of thought with our clearance team into like the numbers that we do a lot of kind of research, like how we cleared the song before and what movie was it for and what was the budget of that film, and sometimes we call Pat ahead of time and say, hey, we want to use a song from Camelot in a movie, what we were talking about. How, you know, what's the ballpark before we kind of pitch it to a filmmaker to use. So we have an internal database that we use, and then we also use Pat's amazing, you know, brain and her history in terms of clearing music to kind of strategize, like, what are we pitching, what can we afford, how much, songs have a value. AC/DC has, you can't really clear an AC/DC song for less than $100,000 aside. Led Zeppelin is pay or play. Like, you kind of know a lot going into a clearance, to the clearance process. So we do a lot of research going into it to try to figure that out.
But I think on the indie level, if you're an indie artist or an indie publisher and you're lucky enough to get a call that your song might be used in such and such movie, whatever they're offering is something you should probably be saying yes to, because you don't have a lot of leverage there. It's probably, even if they're doing $50,000 license for their big montage in the movie, the slot they're calling you about has been relegated to like $5,000 or less, and sometimes even significantly less. So, having a experienced sync agent, I don't love sync agents in general, but being in things like this online, there's a lot of people talking about licensing prices and ballparks, but it's a mystical art.
It is.
And so you have to kind of be in business with somebody who has a lot of experience doing it to make sure you get a fair deal. But most importantly, make sure you get a deal, because it's so hard just to land some real estate in it, especially in a feature film, scope.
I've got a question regarding the first scenario. You'd talked about licensing that song and using the original master. Then there was the scenario that you'd use possibly a cover version. How do you guys deal with draft duty provisions with regards for, let's say, they wanted to use the master, the cover recording, and then all of a sudden it's now the original master, and let's say Sony says, yeah, you're going to have to pay $50,000. Do you do an MFN provision in the event that that original master gets used?
Yeah, I would say, I'll let Richard jump in a minute, but I would say a major copyright, like I fought the law, MFN is going to be in on all sides. So that's the very top of the panel today. I said, you can be really close on 50,000 all in, and then one side can up the price in MFN, and all of a sudden you're at $100,000. So that definitely, they're just the publishers on I Fought the Law, and Carter said he would enjoy MFN, meaning he knows that Sony Records is going to come in for the Clash,
is going to want,
and they're going to want 75,000, and all of a sudden his quote of 15 is up to 75,000. And now, can they wrestle it in? Can they boot out 2 songs and other montages and other parts of that movie and have the composer cover it? How reasonable and flexible is the director?
Sometimes they'll drop MFN, the master will drop MFN. Sometimes,
right.
Sometimes it's the publisher that will drop the MFN, not always, very rarely.
What you're seeing now is kind of a phenomenon. You're seeing original artists going back into the studio and doing re-records of their big hits, so we can get the master at a cheaper price than the major label.
Yeah, a lot of classic rock artists have been doing that for a long time. I remember it was Joe Walsh or something like that. It said, okay, we'll clear this publishing, but only if you're using Joe's re-recorded master. And then we get that played for the director, and he's like,
And then they say they hate
that
it.
doesn't sound right. He's like, what? This is a song I've partied to for the last 40 years of my life.
That's a tricky one, because it's like, so much is tied into the sound of the master when you're doing the timestamp thing, like Joe Walsh. Those are tough.
Yeah, actually, an anecdotal story. The movie Let's Be Cops, we couldn't afford the Scorpions' Rock You Like a Hurricane. And it was this kind of over-the-top touch football scene with this adult player roughing up all these little kids. So we needed a crazy heavy metal anthem. So we could only afford the re-record, and we could listen to it about 5 times because the singer in the re-record was much older and he couldn't hit that high note that he hit in the original. He was like, so like the director was like, "Where's the note?" Like, and we built the whole scene on that crescendo, and so we had to take a song out of another scene, move that $30,000 over, and go back to the original because the re-record did not cut it. Anybody?
Yeah, I had a question. My name's Vanessa. Thank you so much for being on the panel. But I guess my question is a little bit more general. As far as like for music supervision and like syncing and everything with publishers, licensors, and then you have like obviously like music supervisors, is there anything that could make the end product like, I guess like the trouble of going through all the work that everyone does together, like for it to be more seamless? Like what, guess what I'm trying to like ask is like, is there anything that you could recommend or suggest for like that you run into as far as like syncing and like all these things that you guys are talking about? Is there anything that like could make make it a little bit less like of a hassle, I guess?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because I would say historically, up in about 15 years ago, the whole sync fees and everything just blew up. And that was when the record industry was changing and they needed the revenue from licensing for film and TV more than ever. So the demands and the quotas from your boss's boss for how much you had to take in every quarter on licensing, you know, the expectations of the roof. So yeah, I mean, but it's still chaotic. Would you guys do anything internally to help stem the chaos, pre-approving from artists or getting parameters of, we'll approve anything from 20,000 to 50,000, you don't have to call us, any way to calm the chaos?
That wouldn't work for us, for sure.
It's also a case-by-case basis?
Well, yeah, because, we have to worry about our artist and writer. I never look at I never look at to see if a writer is recouped before I do something. And I can't say, well, we have to bring in this many $1 million, so we're gonna up your fee and maybe lose your use. We don't even think about that. We have to think about who the artist is, who the writer is, and how difficult or non-difficult they are, and what they want, and what they feel. We do know a lot of them. Like, I mean, I speak with David Byrne, people like that. We know what their feelings are and what they want, like what they don't like, what they will and won't do. We can, and then we know their fee parameters, and we also know the studio's fee parameters. So we're really trying to make everything work. And it can't be because our company has to name. I would never base a fee on what my budget is. God help us if I did. Because we have to bring in a lot of money, we're budgeted high, you know. And no, we don't think of that. We try to make our budgets, but we do it by trying to get a lot of usages, by working with the studios, by doing relationships, by having good artist-writer relationships so that they trust us. I mean, I've had many writers say to me, well, I'll do this because I trust you, I assume you know. And we don't want to ever betray that trust by screwing them over because of our budget as a company. So I don't think that could ever work.
Well, quick question for Sam, it might be our last word, but I know in the television business they've tried to perfect, you know, the process or whatever, not perfect it, but make it easier because of the speed and the turnaround, how fast you need things, and it seems like it's not a Wild West. When you go from major label song for a major network show, there's kind of TV parameters. Unlike film, where it could be $1 million, it could be $5,000. But you want to talk about how TV is kind of have some unwritten rules, I guess you call them, about fee range?
It's kind of split three ways. You have companies that do music production music or library music. Those fall into a lower fee than a major label. In the middle, you have indie labels. Indie artists who are not tied to a major label, they get middle type fees. And on the top end, you get the major labels, which command the highest fee. But even those are broken down because you have baby bands, you have new bands that are just signed to the labels their first release. And so they're going to have a lower fee than Rolling Stones or AC/DC. But yeah, there are different studios have different fees as to how much they can pay.
Yeah, and from my experience in television and my past life before going in-house at a film studio, it was about $40,000 all in for a hit song, a major song, and a major, you know, background vocal television one use. And the indie stuff, the middle ground was going away, but it's between $5,000 and $10,000 all in. And then the predominantly super indie and library was approximately like $500 to $1,000. And it's sort of like tiers, like you said in TV. So they are trying to hone it out a little bit. Right. Person, 2 minutes, wrap up. That's one more question. Any?
Hi, my name's Annette. Thanks, guys. Real quick, what's the best way to get you guys, like, on my team? So, when I'm looking for a song, I have a song and I need it from Warner Chappell or I need it from Universal Music, I can just go to somebody directly instead of filling out that form, you know what I mean? I'm a music supervisor, I've worked on films. Sometimes, you know, there's some places where I already have a relationship, that's easier, but when you don't, it's tough because you don't have that relationship.
Well, if you're talking about Warner Chapel, you can just call or email me.
Okay.
And then I will not necessarily do it, but I will get you to the proper person on my team.
Okay.
The form is meant for people off the street who come in mass, and that our staff takes down to try to make them fill out a form so we can help them.
Right.
But if you're a supervisor and you're working on shows, call one of us, or if you have a creative person you're working with on our team, they will get you to the proper, but you can always call me, I will always, or email me, and I will always get you to someone to deal with your request.
Thank you. That's
Yeah,
what I
the
need,
answer is
is I
make a
need, I need a team. It makes it a lot faster because the last film wasn't too bad. I think I had 17 original songs, but my producers sometimes, you know, they want to go through a lot of songs.
Is it indie films you're doing with you?
All indie, yeah.
It would be Rachel Delfield, but just send me an email,
Okay.
and I can put you in touch so that you will have a product manager on
That
our
would be
team.
very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, it's smart. You have to build those relationships. You're starting to do it now. You're here at industry functions like this, and your email is dear Pat. It was great to, you know, do a Q&A with you at the Guild thing. Here's my next film thing, and she'll send over some special care to someone to take care of it.
Yeah,
And usually, the major publishers and labels have things assigned. So like, if it's gonna be an Apple TV series, your Warner Brothers, it's gonna be so-and-so takes care of that. And so you can ask your distributor, if you know who it is, who do you guys deal with at Universal Music Publishing? And they'll say, oh, we deal with Sean Rosen or whatever. I get frustrated sometimes because if I'm doing a small thing, as far as when I was independent, if I'm doing a small thing or I'm doing an advertisement or whatever, I'll get sent to someone at EMI in New York, and I'll be fighting with them over $5,000. Like, if they can just lower by $5,000, go from $50,000 to $45,000, we can do it. And meanwhile, I've just literally spent $1 million on Deadpool 2, you know, with the film people in LA, and I can't get a break from another office. They've never heard of me. They don't know, you know, how much money I've spent over the years. So it does get fractured, but you seem to specialize, right? There's someone who would do advertising. You never do that.
Well, that's not necessarily true. I mean, I don't usually do advertising other than trailers and promos, but I certainly work with our team in New York, and if I have, just like they might have a special ad client, and they say he needs a film thing, can you help him? He's an important client to us, I will bend over backwards to help him. The same would happen if, say, you were an important client to me, you called me and said, I have this commercial, can you hook me up with the right person? And I would make the call to the ad team and say, help them. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to get what you want. It depends on who. You could be talking like George Michael or somebody who might say, their estate might say, oh, too bad. But we, as a company, would do our best to help you. You know, remember, we're at the mercy of the artist, writer, and approvals.
But as far as the politics of approaching your job, you're a music supervisor under pressure. You and Carter can do this. Doesn't it sometimes piss you off if you're not giving me a price and I talk to someone else in your company for help on the deal that you've got a quote on? Is there some internal conflict, or you're not happy with me going around you or something?
Yeah, nobody ever likes to be, likes to be gone around or gone over. In our company, that doesn't really happen because it's a smaller company, but Pat is in charge of all that stuff, so I don't know where he would go. You know.
Well, that's not true. There's always someone over me.
Everybody's got a
People go to
boss,
everybody.
it's true. But yeah, that's not a good move.
It is not, yeah. And I remember I learned early on where with the past great Warner Chapel licensor or creative Brad. He was like, someone go, all right, well, that's going to be tough. Go to Brad. He'll walk it into her. I'm like, if he walks into her, she's not going to be happy, and it's going to be even tougher. So I'm going directly to Pat.
That makes sense to come directly, but we work very closely now. I mean, it's different now with our creative team. They pitch the fees. We talk about what they're pitching. They'll come and say, can we pitch this for this fee? What do you think? Because I might have a better history with a particular writer or catalog, especially if it's back catalog. I'll say, no, they're really difficult, don't pitch for that. Or tell them, maybe, but it's subject to approval. But we work very closely so that the creative could come in to me and say, I want to do this, this, and this, and I would work with them. But otherwise, if it's not going through creative, yeah, you're best off coming back right to me, because I'm going to be as fair as you know I can with you, and I'm going to tell you the truth.
Love it. Well, it's called Synch Negotiations, Love and War. There's love and there's war all every day.